how well would the sales go on like Mission Bay and stuff?
Good. But I was, as a 15-year-old kid, I got told to fuck off plenty of times.
Right. Yeah. What was your target? Were you targeting people your own age or like older people?
Just anyone.
Just anyone.
Just anyone. I literally, it was a huge thing for my confidence at the time because at the time I used to go up to try and find the hottest chicks I could find, and I'd go up to them and
just like full confidence.
Yeah, stuff, full confidence, and I'll go up to them and I'll say, "Oh, would you like to buy my lemonade?" And then
they'll tell you to fuck off.
then they'll tell me to fuck off. Oh, I'm sorry.
Welcome back to the Unhappy Hour, guys. I say this every time, but we have a very special guest today. An old friend from school, someone that is very dear to my heart, and has started many businesses like me, so an entrepreneur as well, after my own heart. My good friend, Simon Archer. Come on board, champ. How you doing? Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Fuck, honestly, like, we were talking about this before. Well, not today, but like in the past we've talked about it. How like we don't really hang out there much, but it's always good when we do see each other. And I think that it's just like, everyone's getting to that point in like their lives where they're so busy all the time. But I really do appreciate you taking 3 hours out of your life to come be on my show.
Oh, mate, that's all good. That's totally good. I mean, like, that's the thing of good friendships. It's like you don't see them for a while, and the next time you see them, it's like you saw them yesterday. So
exactly, yeah, exactly. I feel exactly the same. And there's like a couple of like guys that we're close with. You've seen one of them, Will. He's got the Boomer episode, and there's also Jaden, who's probably, I don't know if he's watching this. He might be watching this one, but he's going to be coming on soon. He doesn't know that yet, though.
That's going to be one hell of a podcast.
It's going to be some controversial topics potentially there. Well, but yeah, what have you been up to, dog? Let's start by the catching up, and then we can get into the questions after that. I suppose I'm just ticking along. Still working, grinding out, trying to find like a new career. Not so much a new career, but just trying to really hone in on my career. So that's definitely sales, and that's what I'm passionate in. And I think, I'm just really following that. So looking at a few job opportunities in the company. Other than that, because what are you doing at the moment?
Right now, I'm currently working in the service center.
Right. Okay.
So it's interesting because you're on the phones and you're talking to people who own these massive businesses or small businesses.
So like B2B service, right?
Yeah, B2B, and I do a bit of stuff there, but also do a bit of stuff in transport as well.
Right.
Also do a bit of sales on the side of that as well. So I'm just kind of getting.
Can you say what industry you work in at all?
Yeah. Food and beverage.
Food and beverage.
Yeah. So mainly beverage. So these. Cheers
to the.
Yeah. These are delicious, by the way.
Yeah, we're bringing back the espresso martinis there. I haven't shown people yet, but I'll chuck it up here. We got a brand new cocktail list for Hugh's place, which I sent out. We're getting all professional now. I sent out like a fucking formal email to this guy.
Yeah, I saw that. Like, this is serious. This guy's doing it.
Yeah, well, I am trying to take this more seriously. Like, obviously, it's still like, as much as I put like frameworks around it, it's mainly because like the whole concept of the show is drinking and talking shit. So I'm like, if I just let it be that,
two things I can do.
Then there'll be there. But if I just let it be that, then I'm like it just really doesn't gel well with editing after it. So I just like do some stuff so that I can just like chill and do whatever the fuck I want in the actual thing. But cocktail list for that, which is pretty cool, and this is one of the things on there. Yeah, so good choice. Good choice, Si.
Outstanding. Yeah, it keeps you awake as well and keeps you...
Yeah, exactly.
Alert.
And even, I don't know if you saw this as well, like a little thing I put in there. We're actually now sponsoring our guests' transport, because...
I saw that.
Yeah, it's like, I thought it was like, I'm a show all about drinking, and like, I'm not providing any way for the guests to get here. So I'm either setting people up to spend a fuckload of money to get themselves here, or like to drink drive. And I was like, fuck it, I might as well fork out some cash that I don't have.
It's part of the service, man.
To be a good Samaritan.
It's all part of the service.
Yeah, I just think it's cool, man. I'm taking this shit way too seriously, but I fucking love it, man.
Hope this one day is my career. But back to sort of your career, which I think is like more interesting to me.
Yeah.
So you kind of like touched on that you want to get into more into sales, because that's kind of like your skill set, right? And I guess it's a good time for us to get into a little segment we like to do on the show called Depressing Questions.
Oh, good.
Depressing Questions. Depressing Questions.
What a good name. You set it up well. Depressing Questions. All right, there we go.
It's, a beautiful segment, completely unrelated to being sad.
Good.
And the first question we had for you is like, I think not a common thing to do, but this guy actually started a business in high school. One that I've actually worked for.
That's true.
Which is interesting. But I think, I'd love to hear from your side how you got into it, what the business was, and sort of like, your whole journey as an entrepreneur so young.
Well, it sounds very cringy, but I think since a young age, I have always been interested in sales, and have always been interested in business. Like my dad, I'll never forget my Simon, if you really want to make some good money one day, a lot of these people, these billionaires, the Richard Bransons, the Steve Jobs, all those guys, they own a business. So then, since I was like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, thinking, business is the way to go. But it turns out simply just owning a business doesn't guarantee you making money. As
I know.
But so I always had that in the back of the mind. But business is quite a broad spectrum. It's just very easy to say you own a business, but I think what I really found that I loved about that was sales.
Right.
And that's something that really got me into wanting to do my own business, because I just like people.
So you think that's where the sales stuff come from? Just like from like a young age, you like talking to people and like you just developed it naturally kind of thing?
I suppose so. I mean, I don't know. I think sales is one of those things, it's a skill that you can develop. But my dad said since I was a kid, if I didn't get the tool that I wanted, I was always the kid that had to really argue a point home. So I wanted a Lego set, Star Wars Lego set. And then I had to really argue a point to get that, and really had to fight for it. And so in that case, it was, my dad said, you had a bit of a natural ability there, and I just quite love the fight of sales in that case, convincing someone.
And it's not easy to do as well. Like, it's like completely... Like, I think a lot of people discount how challenging sales is. I did sales for your company first, and I did terribly.
I don't know about that.
We made 0 sales.
That's true, yeah.
I think that is the definition of failing at sales.
Yeah.
But as to contrast that as well, like when you were doing it by yourself, you obviously were making a bunch of sales. So like I don't know. I've always been fascinated by anyone that can do it naturally, and then picking it as a career is like, it makes so much sense to me for you. You know what I mean?
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah. It's something that I feel like is almost like a natural build up at that stage for me to do. So definitely I've been looking into that and pursuing that. And for my experience at Blackshack,
Blackshack, which is
the little business that I ran.
Give us some
lemonade.
The
finest lemonade in the world, in my opinion.
In my humble opinion.
The
sweetest natural lemonade in the world.
Well, to give some context, the backstory.
Of do it.
Because I'm sure I would have blurted at you about 1 million times.
Oh, bro, 100%. But please, people don't know, and I think people want to know.
So going on from what I loved about sales and wanted to get into business, it was a funny story. Starts off with my sister. She was selling baked goods with her mates, and this is when she was like, I was like year 8 or something, year 9.
Right.
Her and a mate were making these baked goods, and they were going around and they were selling it, and they were making money. And there is me as a simpleton, just sitting there playing Call of Duty, going, I want to make money, and that looks like a bit of fun.
Yeah.
So, and then I thought, stuff it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to get started. I'm going to make money. And
were they making good money, by the way, selling these biscuits?
No kids going around and selling biscuits.
I mean, it's
and stuff.
entrepreneurial.
It's entrepreneur in itself.
Yeah.
So kudos to her for doing that. But it just kind of, that sparked me to actually do it. Just a little sibling rivalry there.
Like, she can do it, I can do this shit,
Yeah. It's strange what kind of motivations make you do.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Small thing that does it. But yeah, so that kind of got me sparked to think about starting a business. But of course, I was like, I'm starting a business, but what am I going to do?
Yeah.
My grandma happened to have this amazing lemonade recipe, and she used to, like, when I was a kid, I used to sit down in her garden and drink this amazing, sweet, beautiful, natural, homemade lemonade. And she was doing nothing with it, so I thought, that would be a great idea to
like start marketing.
Start marketing that smart, and man. Do it. Smart. So I asked my grandma. I said, you know what, if this becomes a multi-million-dollar business, which it didn't, then I promise to give you some royalties. And she was like an old typical grandma, going, oh, you don't have to worry about that, do you?
Yeah. But she was like, it's like a pretty well protected recipe from what I understand. Like, I'm pretty sure what you told me, that only a few people in your family know the recipe.
Yeah.
So for her to like share that with you and then also be comfortable with you like commercializing it is crazy in and of itself.
Oh, I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah.
It's actually been, I think I'm the only one in the family now that knows it.
Oh, is your grandma not?
Yeah, she kicked the bucket, but that was ages ago.
Right. Yeah. But still sad nonetheless. And like, I think like obviously you must have been close with the, like her telling you the family traits.
Yeah, definitely. But that's so. I'm now the holder of the divine recipe.
Will you ever share it? It's something you pass down to your kids, you think? Or?
I think it's something I would, or if I ever decide to get back into that again, which I'm not too sure if I will.
I think there's still potential there. I just think that like, I mean, I'll let you say more about the business, and then we can get into like the nuances of it. Like, yeah, I guess like people still don't really know. Like they know that it's like a lemonade recipe.
Yep.
But they don't really know like the links that you went to sell this stuff, like to like truly prove your salesmanship. Like this guy, he was like a hustler in high school. Like, I don't know if you want to tell, or I can tell it as well. Like, I'll give you from my perspective. Like,
yeah, tell me your perspective.
Yeah, because I understand that you started a long time before you saw me as well. Like before we met, because I came in at like. Must have been like year 11 probably, right?
Yeah. I started it in must have been late year 9, early year 10.
Yeah. So this is like New Zealand schooling system, by the way, for those international people. So I'm sorry
What's
that you have to...
grade 8? Grade 8 is year 9 or something like that?
Yeah, maybe. A grade... Let's go with grade 8.
We'll go with grade 8.
But yeah, I come into school, I see this, like, I think we were pretty friendly from the start because we were in this sort of same friend group. But Simon always used to bring this like chili bin to school with like bottles of this stuff, and it was like, you would think like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like he had like his own like labels for the bottles and shit. Like it was like professional operation. He was making. Like, I always like originally had this thought of like, oh, he's just making it at home or whatever. But like he's making a commercial kitchen. Like it was like legit operation. Like walking around school selling this stuff. And I think pretty sure it was actually cheaper than some of the drinks at the tuck shop, which made sense. Like just so logical. And in the end of the day, like people. I think that what made the brand really successful in that context was people liked you as well. You know what I mean? Like they saw you walking around trying to make it, and the product was really good as well. But I think like it's also like a testament to your sales abilities and like also your confidence to do that, because like no one else is doing that shit. You know what I mean? Like yeah. What's your take on that shit? Like
well, it was an interesting time, I tell you.
Yeah.
Because I used to go around with this chili bag. I used to fill it up with as high as I could with all these bottles. Usually about 10, 12 bottles. The actual motivation for me to sell, really push these sales and really get into people's ears and really, sell it to them was so I don't have to carry around a bloody chili bag full of drinks, the entire day. So I was like, okay, come morning tea time, I'm going to sell as much as I can. And by the time it hits just before lunch, I try to sell the last few. And I'll be fine.
How well did it go? Like, did it start like always making all the sales, or like was it like a learning curve kind of thing?
Definitely a learning curve. Interesting, because when you start when you start a business and you've got a new product, like, which is what I had, no one really knows the brand. They, because everyone's drinking Coca-Cola, everyone's drinking Sprite, everyone's drinking all these other fantastic brands.
Sure. Yeah.
And they've got brand loyalty to that. And here comes some kid who looks like he's almost taking the piss, and then he's actually taking it seriously, and he's trying to sell them the product. So I think that was a real learning curve where I actually had to properly, develop these sales skills to convince people to buy it. And my always thing was never stop at a no. Like if someone says no,
be relentless.
Yeah, be relentless, and then kind of just almost like Wolf of Wall Street sort of vibe. You don't stop at a no. You keep going until they say no. And I learned that the hard way because I during the week I'd sell at school, and then on the weekends, especially on nice days, I'd go down to Mission Bay, go down to St Heliers.
You would sell it at Mission Bay as well?
Yeah, I do the same thing. And I used to go down there and I'll pack the car, or Dad would drop me off. And pack the car up with a chili bin of 100 or so bottles. And I'll go around with my little chili bag and I'll top it up every time I...
How well would the sales go on like Mission Bay and stuff?
Good. But I was, as a 15-year-old kid, I got told to fuck off plenty of times.
Right, yeah. What was your target? Were you targeting people your own age or like older people?
Just anyone.
Just anyone.
Just anyone. I literally, it was a huge thing for my confidence at the time because, at the time, those people didn't really know me. I was quite, almost a little bit shy, a little bit awkward socially, but doing this actually really forced me to speak with people and put myself out there. So I used to go up to, try and find the hottest chicks I could find, and I'd go up to them and
just like full confidence.
Yeah, stuff, full confidence, and I'll go up to them and I'll say, "Oh, would you like to buy my lemonade?" And then
they tell you to fuck off.
Then they'll tell me to fuck off. Oh, I'm sorry. And then I realise everyone doesn't want to buy a product, so you go, "Would you like to buy my lemonade?" And they go, "No," and you go, "No, seriously, this is what it's about." So,
you'd like involve the story and stuff at that point. That's
got,
this exposure therapy thing, I think, is like, as you say, beneficial for more reasons than just learning sales, right? Like
absolutely,
it's
absolutely,
like character building shit, right?
Definitely, and you learn a lot about sales by doing that. And I think the best way to get better at sales is just do sales.
Yeah,
volume, do it, get it out there, and you'll pick up the skills as you're doing it. And you see what works, see what doesn't. But if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. So. That's how I kind of built up those sales skills, and then after a while, especially at school, when I was, I kept on selling, and people, it started to get a name. People liked the product, got to have a good product. People loved it, and then it almost got to a point where I would go around and they would say, "Hey, can I just buy some?" And then they'd take it off me.
So you almost like weren't doing having to sell people anymore. Like they knew you.
Yeah. And like you were saying before, I think. Like you got to build the brand, and I kind of didn't intend it for it to happen, but the brand was associated with me. So if I was really friendly to these people, and really show my passion, then people would do it to support you. And if you got a good product, then it's going to sell itself naturally. Just got to get people in faces.
Do you think that, like, I guess, from my personal curiosity, because like you took it a step further than that as well, like you ended up like selling to some dairies and stuff and like that, and like the brand was out there, but I guess like my question is, do you think that, like, I think you need that personal touch at the beginning, of course, but that next level of selling it when you sort of remove yourself from it is like where like a whole new set of challenges comes in, right? Like I just want to hear your experience firsthand of that type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like the decision to sell in dairies and tuck shops and all those places I was selling. That it got to a point where I was making a lot of cash sales on a bottle to bottle basis.
Sure.
But then it was just a case of, it was a weird thing. I had all this. I was lucky enough to have all this cash stashed up, and I was like, right, because I'm really into cars. You know. And I was like, well, I could be the first guy in my year to buy a car, and at that time I could have bought a shitty old 1998 Toyota Corolla.
Yeah, and then one of the rich like kids would have come along.
Yeah, rich kids, and then
the thing that their parents wanted.
Yeah, they're Nissan GTRs, that the parent bought, whatever.
Yeah, fuck.
But I could have easily been the first guy to get that, or I said to myself, this is very basic thinking, I could put that money back into the business, grow it some more. Instead of selling it by a bottle to bottle basis, I can sell it in a case by case basis, make it commercial, and then one day, and this is what I love about owning a business, you get sometimes, I'll be the first to admit I got a little bit deluded, but one day I'll be able to buy a Ferrari.
Right.
And in the next few years I'll be able to buy a Ferrari. I didn't buy a Ferrari, and I still haven't got one. but nonetheless, I
think that's a healthy ambition to, like, maybe like not the end goal so much, but as like, I think motivating yourself to put money back into your business is good.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And I encourage people to do that when they start out. Don't keep that money for yourself. Put it back in and grow it. So through that, you'll be amazed at how far the business will go and how much you will develop. So I did that and then made it commercial, which opened up a whole bag of worms in terms of commercial, logistics you have to get round, and paperwork and getting that. But then got it, made it commercial.
There's like a huge, must have been huge learnings going from like, this is the most legit lemonade stand. I keep thinking it's like, people picture like this like lemonade stand as this kid on the corner selling it. Probably like started as that, and then it just grew into this like legitimate operation. Like, you were well known in like even across, I would say, a couple of schools, because it was in like a lot of dairies out Glendowie way, which is where we were from originally. So yeah, just like it's so crazy to go from. I think that this is just like a testament to me of like any business can be successful. It's just a matter of like putting in the work.
Absolutely.
Like, and having the right product as well, of course. Like,
absolutely.
We can't discount the product here, but like, just, it doesn't have to be reinventing the wheel, as well. It just has to be better than the competition.
Absolutely. I couldn't. Yeah, you've summed it up brilliantly.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. You couldn't say any better. But it's definitely a learning curve. I mean, I remember my first ever commercial sale. I must have looked like such a joke, because I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
And living in St. Helens, I had to get all the way to this dairy that I eyed up. Thought, okay, that's gonna be it. That's gonna be my first commercial.
How do you even
sale.
approach that? Do you is it like a cold walk-in kind of thing?
Yeah, it was completely cold walk-in, and I've never done anything like that before in my life, because selling on a case by case or bottle to bottle basis, it's easier. No,
it's different.
It's completely different when you're selling to the next step up. So I just remember that it was a hot summer's day. I think it was a Saturday, and I got dressed up in the best gear that I had. Long khaki pants and had my nice shoes on, and I got into
business.
It was a 16-year-old with zits everywhere on his face, and then I was like, right, okay. Hop on my bike. I biked for about 20 minutes to get to this dairy. So by the time I arrived, I was a bag of sweat. I had a backpack on my back with samples. I think I made some pamphlets with Microsoft Word that weren't too fancy.
But still, bro, this is like commitment for this. I wasn't doing anything close to this shit at 16.
I don't know. But walked into that dairy, ball of sweat. And I, to be honest, to this day, I have no idea why they bought it off me. But I must have said something for them to like it. I just kind of went in there and said, this is what I got. This is the story behind it. And I pretty much said, why is it... I went straight at them. Why is it better than every other drink that you have in your fridge? And I just kind of went through the list. It's so much better because of A, B, and C. Yeah. So eventually, I didn't tell them it was my first commercial sale. I made it look like it was my 50th.
Right. That's good.
It was really my first.
And obviously it worked, man.
And it somehow worked. So, then I sold it, and I sold my first case there. And I was like, okay, learn something from there.
How much is a case at 12?
It was 24.
24. And how much did you make from one case sale? Do you remember?
God, I can't remember. I think I was making it at about... That time my production costs were quite high, so they'd be like $1.50. Labels is where it really took it out.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
$1.50, and then I think I sold it to them for about probably about $2 or something a bottle, and then they sold it for about $3. So they were making an okay margin, but at that, it wasn't great. But of course, one of the hard things about starting a business, especially the drinks industry where it's all about volume.
Right.
Is, you know, you don't have access to much economies of scale.
Do you know like what, like for example, Coke would be like the equivalent of? You know, like how much would they be buying Coke for per can?
I have no idea. It'd be.
Do you think it was comparable? Probably. Or?
No, not even comparable.
Do you think it'd be like way cheaper?
Oh, way cheaper. I was producing it, you know, in quantities of about 150, 200 bottles at a time.
Sure.
Where companies like that produce.
Like a lot.
It's not even comparable. It's not even comparable.
Comparable. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, that's take advantage of economies of scale, and of course I didn't have that, and I started the business with pretty much very little money that I put into it.
Your $3,000 car fund.
$3,000 car fund straight in that doesn't buy you a whole lot. so I didn't have. It wasn't starting off in a great position. So I learned a lot doing that. But but we got my first commercial sale and then kind of.
So what happened? What's the like the sad happy conclusion to this whole saga?
That's a great thing. I'm still trying to answer that question to myself because I think a sad conclusion is I stopped it.
And is there like a particular reason why you stopped it?
Well, I don't think it wasn't not profit. It was making profit.
Sure.
But unfortunately, when it comes to especially an industry that's so, you know, filled up with so many people in it,
right?
It's like you have to, between the stage where I was at, where I was like, okay, I'm at that point where I can really get serious about this, make it a full-time job. By this time I was like 20, 21 or something like that.
Yeah.
And go hard from there. I could do that, or I can go doing something else. But yeah, it would have cost me, I think about $100,000 to get it to that point. And that's just literally machinery, you know, hiring people, getting all these things aboard, legal fees, all that.
And would you like be borrowing that money? Is that kind of?
I would have been borrowing that money because I didn't have that money. At 20 years old, so I didn't even have half that money. So it was a case where I think it was probably the best decision I made was to stop it, because it's such a saturated industry. Yeah. Sure, I may have made it, and I don't encourage people if they get to that stage where they think they're going to stop to stop. I just felt like for me, I needed to go get more experience. So I went to university.
That's a mature as fuck decision as well.
A hard decision.
Yeah.
It was an awkward conversation with all my customers.
Yeah.
And some weren't too happy, some were, because there was a couple customers who literally, you know, had it imprinted on their menus and
really,
and had that. So I kind of felt pretty shit.
How did they didn't take it well then? Obviously.
Oh, not as well. They understood and they friendly, but you can tell behind the scenes.
They're like, we're gonna have to reprint these menus.
Over. So
it's
tough, it's like one of those.
Are these like restaurants that you're talking about?
Like cafes.
Cafes,
small cafes. And you know the dairies and all that, and tuck shops. So, but like honestly, I don't regret it. But like the good thing about it is, you know, I've learned all this stuff. And it's helped me with so many other things. So, it's got me into a few programs. It's given me so much sales experience by trial by fire, essentially. So, essentially by doing that, I think I gained a huge wealth of knowledge that I think would take, you know, a lot of people many years to get.
Well, actually that kind of like does flow into the next question that we had, which sort of is like your whole path since then has been quite interesting. Like I feel like you've jumped from like, you know, different careers, different paths.
Absolutely.
So every time I talk to you,
I'm doing something different.
Like I mean, this, to be fair, like, and I think a lot of them do fit for you as well, which is interesting. But I do think that sales, you telling me that makes a lot more sense to me. Like it clicks in my head like quite clearly. But maybe you want to like cycle through some of the shit that you've tried, / maybe are still doing since the Blackshack days as well.
Wow. Okay. Where do we go? It's been a few. I tried to become a doctor. That didn't work.
It's just so left field.
So random.
From like
I was at a point where like I did, you know, those career counselling things.
Yeah.
Which, you know, generally they do a really good job. So not gonna piss on their fire.
And also, it's it only takes one bad one. Like
it only takes one bad. And I had a really good one, and I suppose she said, I think you should give being a doctor a go, and I thought that was cool. And
what was the reasoning behind that? Just like, does it line up with your passions, kind of thing? You think?
It does in a way. I think because sales is very much, if we break down what sales is, I think it's very much a people's. You have to be good with people's skills.
Sure. Yeah.
And there's a lot of similarity with that with being a doctor. You have to be good with people. You have to show empathy. You have to read people. You have to understand. So, in that case, there was a bit of similarity there. So I think she picked that up and said you should give this a go. I thought I'm interested in science, so I find that stuff interesting. Interested in health. So
that's
it was a bit of right angle from what I was doing, but I did that, and then that was one hell of a year doing pre-med.
Is it like fucking pretty hard? Is that
it's pretty
brutal. We actually had the podcast that's coming out, or it's come out 2 weeks ago now, but it's coming out soon. We had a doctor that's in pre-med at the moment, or she's got 1 year left or something like that.
And they're actually in med.
Yeah, so she's in her residency and stuff, and it sounds fucked, man.
It's fucked, it definitely is.
Fucked, yeah.
The amount of hours that they do, and the crazy amount of study that they do is just, it's nuts. So,
no, I don't envy that path, and I completely understand how you could be like, maybe being a doctor is a good idea, and then doing pre-med and be like, maybe
it's not.
Maybe this is not for me.
So I found that out.
What was it interesting at least though? Hard but interesting. Yeah.
Well, I think I took more out of it in the sense of how to study.
Right. Yeah.
How to really soak up a crap ton of information, hold it in, blurt it out, and also understand it at the same time. So
that's one thing that I will say about you as well through school is you worked so hard at your studies, harder than anyone I know, and I just was so impressed by the work ethic. I think I think for a lot of people that stuff doesn't come naturally, and to see you persevere through shit and actually get the results at the end as well. I think that's just just a testament to your character.
Thanks, man.
On top of the obvious this guy fucking does he sleep? You know what I mean? Fucking running a commercial business, and then also studying seemed all the time to me. And also taking school that seriously when I fucking obviously that was not my not my thing back in the day. But super inspiring to see that path and how it plays out. So for you to go into pre-med and then for it to be hard for you is I think a testament to how hard fucking pre-med is as well.
It is, definitely.
Yeah.
I simply, at the end of the day, didn't have the grades. But I'm kind of grateful I didn't, because I think if I was in med now, I don't think I'd be enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that you go actually it was kind of really bad. I kind of knew it at the time, where I didn't get the offer to, because the whole thing is you do study, you have to get a really high average GPA.
What's the GPA you got to get?
It varies per year.
Right.
But I think the lowest person who made it in, from what I hear, had an 8.25 GPA, which is over an A. Or just for context, I think there was a couple of 1,000 or two people applied for med that year, undergrads.
Yeah.
And only 83 made it in. So at that point, I was kind of I'm not gutted at all. But 83. So, and I was I'm kind of glad I didn't make it in.
Yes.
Just a few of my mates did, and just seeing what they go through. Good on them. Full respect to them.
For sure.
That stuff's gnarly, but not for me.
Yeah, it takes a certain type of person to
It does. You have to be
stick that stuff out.
Really passionate about it.
You have to love it more than exactly. Yeah. And I think as well what you're saying, your main motivation to get into it was the people skill side of things.
Yeah.
And that's stuff that you can apply to other areas as well, which I'm sure
100%.
is what you found when in your next move, which was
what was it? It was Army? Was it Army?
I think maybe. I don't know. You tell me this is your life.
Army. I can't try to think. Been through a few. I did give the Army a go.
Yeah.
And it was one hell of a great experience, and I'm kind of, I don't know if we can say I'm in it now. I'm not in it.
What's this? Give us some more context about that. So you wanted to join the army. How far did you get, sort of thing?
I wanted to join the army because my family has always been. I've got quite a military background.
Right.
On both sides. Both
nice.
dads. Both my my grandfather, he was a captain in the army, and my dad's dad, he was quite a high-ranking officer in the Air Force, and just a long line of military. And I've grew up hearing stories about them, and my grandfather telling me about all his stories in the army. It sounded like good fun, and I love sport, love rugby, love like the team side of things,
the camaraderie stuff.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah, and so through doing that, doing stuff like that, I just thought, the army seems like something that I'd be interested in doing. And there's the leadership part, and there's the the people skills part, and also that ability to really test yourself and push yourself, and self-improvement, which is a big passion of mine.
Yeah, bro. I was the same. Like I also pursued the army for a bit as well.
Yeah,
so I get the motivations for it, man. Like there's something about that draw. I don't know. I think it's just I don't know how else to describe it, but that when you don't, for me at least, I didn't have structure in my life, and I was seeking that structure, and then I saw this unit of people, this cohesive group that's projecting everything that I wanted to be.
Is that why you decided to?
That's why I pursued it originally, and obviously there's a bunch of reasons why I didn't. Don't have a sad podcast for no reason. It's fortunately they don't take too kindly to mental health, especially when you've got some diagnosed mental health issues. They go, maybe it's not good to have someone with PTSD before joining the army. Joining the army is I get it, but I'm also come on, guys.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, but anyways, I don't want to make this about me. So I guess what I'm just saying is I understand why you would join why you would be interested in that, and I'm just curious what sort of became your stopgap.
Well, I did the army officer selection, so I was lucky enough to make it on there. There wasn't a whole bunch of civilians. I think it was more military on that selection, but there were a few civilians. I'm not allowed to go into detail of that.
Sure.
Because it's quite a secretive process, but it was very intense, and I enjoyed it very much. Just at the end of it, I had one thing that I had to tweak, but they were keen to have me in. And give it another go to be an officer and be in the army. And
is still something you're thinking about then? Or?
Well, it's just one of those things where that was because you have a 2-year gap between officer selection boards. I mean, I learned through doing that. I definitely would love being in the army. I think it's great.
Sure.
And something I would be keen to. I can see myself doing, but over time, your things change, and I've had a few injuries to cover on that, so I'm looking to the reserves. I would have gone to basics last year, but I did my hand in a rugby injury.
So how does the reserves work versus that?
It's part-time army.
So what do you work a couple of days a week or something? Or?
Yeah, kind of you have to commit a certain amount of days a year. I think it's something like 20 days a year.
Okay,
I might be wrong on that, but I think it's 20 days a year you have to commit.
To do training or something like that?
Yeah, training. I think it's the minimum. And the good thing about that is it's your employer gives you they legally have to give you that leave. It's not leave that comes out of your annual leave or sick leave or anything like that. It's special leave. So they have to give you 20 days a year, which you go off and essentially be a weekend warrior in that case.
That's awesome, man.
Which is really cool. So I thought that's a good best of both worlds because I'm really enjoying where I'm at the moment. And I can also do that on the side. So, that's the kind of...
Bro, that is actually really cool. Yeah, I didn't even consider that, to be honest. And maybe I should.
Yeah. So it's one of those really good things. I think being in full-time army, I really don't know the full extent of it. You get a lot more of what you want to do, and if you really want to go on deployments and stuff like that, which a lot of people want to, I think you have to commit a bit more, potentially. But
which understandable.
I totally understandable.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where. It's just one of those things that you can get the best of both worlds, which I think is wicked thing to do.
100%, man. Especially this. I didn't realize. Do you get paid to do it as well?
You get paid. You get paid reasonably well, from what I hear. And obviously, you get the whole army benefit, and I was similar to you. You said you were looking for some sort of structure. And I suppose, if anything, after those Blackshack days to what we're talking about now, I was kind of lost a bit of structure with what I was doing. So, yeah, that's what I saw that. I thought that's brilliant. That's a pathway. Because
exactly.
you found that as well.
100%. Yeah. And I maybe didn't get so far. I wasn't trying to apply for the same thing as you, I guess, as well. But I got into like the selection process and like I made my application and it was like, yeah, it just came up to that mental, like, it was like pre-existing conditions. And I was like, oh, well, like.
What do they say?
Basically, like it's, so I had to, because I have like some diagnosed stuff, like I had to get signed off from my therapist.
Right.
And that's where it sort of came to like the,
yeah.
Which is like, all right, like that's cool. I'm trying to better my life, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Do therapy though. So I'm trying to promote it.
So what, do they offer you, do therapy and you can come in? Do they give
No,
you
I was in therapy. Like I've been in therapy for a long time. I'm not doing it anymore, but like I did like a lot of it, and like I guess it's just it had its benefits, I suppose, and now I've kind of reached a point where I don't think that it would so much anymore. I think like I've got myself to a point where I can sort of deal with it in my own ways, but I understand obviously like a branch like that where they're like, okay, like you're gonna be put under stress and like how will you cope with that stress? And even though like I would say now that I coped with stress well, and even back then I was still coping with stress fine, I just wasn't, the happiest, although that's still the case. Like, I can be sad and continue, like.
At what point did you realize that you had to stop therapy? Like what was the...
For me? Yeah. That's a good question. I think when I realized that, because for me, I had to travel to get to therapy. So there was a time commitment, and also like, as much as your employer is always open to supporting that kind of thing, it is something that I think through fault of the system, but also just human nature, it does hinder your career progression. Yeah. Because they don't really consider someone for promotions when they're sort of seen as like someone that's still in recovery almost, or something.
It's on
your
record. Yeah
Exactly. Especially because if you do it through, I did the work therapy stuff, of course, to start with, but like I had like proper therapy, and I had to like ask for time to go to that, and it was a commitment during the week that my employer was aware of, and there was a few roles that I went for that I think that it was a contributing factor to me not getting them. So when I changed companies and I felt like I was in a better place mentally, because I fixed a lot of things as well. Like at that time, I wasn't eating very healthy. Came a long way. Yeah. So there's a lot of changes that led to me not doing it anymore, and it's still something that I can do because I'm fortunate enough to be in a country where we have ACC, and like that does cover my shit. So
it's good, eh?
Yeah. It's not for everyone. Like not everyone gets that, and I'm like really grateful for like the that being an option for me.
ACC is brilliant though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fucking great, and that's one of the best things about living in New Zealand is that we have such good healthcare here. And you look at the rest of the world, and it's like not comparable. You know?
Exactly. For instance, me when I did my shoulder.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah,
I'd
recently been
3 months off work, and ACC covered 80% of my pay.
That's fucking
and my employer was lucky enough to top the rest of it up. But it's stuff like that, we might not be able to sue for multi-millions of dollars and win and retire then, but we've also got that other benefit where we can have things like when you're sick, you still get your pay. You get cheap physio, you get access to all the stuff that can help you, and I suppose that ultimately we pay for that at the end of the day.
I kind of reject the whole like American like sue someone for everything type. I mean, this is all obviously based on not personal experience, like first-hand experience, but from what I've heard, like it seems like quite a toxic culture in that regard, and I'm really glad that we don't live in that sort of world. But when you do get in situations like like serious like health stuff, anything like not specifically just mental health, but like any health, like having ACC there, I think is so much better than the American system. Like the American
definitely.
Yeah,
we've got lucky actually. That's one of the things I did realize about what I did learn about during pre-med. Like we had to do population health, right. And you look at the difference between New Zealand spending per head on health system and on America. I'm going to completely botch these numbers up, but
we can put the like real numbers in.
No, we just put a big indicator. So I think in New Zealand it's something like it's.
Can we get a fact check? Get a fact check.
Can you fact check me on this one? I might be significantly wrong, but it's something for America. It's like $9,000 per head is spent
really
on healthcare. So
it doesn't seem terrible, I guess.
But when you look at compared to the rest of the world, you can please fact check me. I think we're sitting along the lines of like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. There's a big gap there, but honestly, it's crazy the difference.
Yeah,
it's just nuts. So we've got it lucky.
I can't actually see the board trend. You might need to move it a bit further. Anyways.
Oh.
12,900 per person for the US.
Wow.
Fuck,
and
that's
what's
crazy. And what's New Zealand?
12,900. Where does that go?
Yeah, bro, I don't know. But then you think about like how much, I don't know, do you have health insurance at the moment?
I think I do. I think we've got like a family plan.
Do you think like how much like that you spend on that a year? Like I like have a bone to pick with my fucking health insurance, bro.
Really?
Because like
lay off, bro. Lay off. Let's do it.
Yeah, bro. I mean, like I'm not like, I wasn't pissed off originally, but like I started paying for healthcare like, I don't know, let's say when I first started working. So let's say maybe 5 years ago now, right?
Yeah.
So I've been on this plan for like 4 years with Southern Cross. Not shout out Southern Cross because like they have been like good now, but like back in the day when I used to like call to claim for anything, I used to get I'm sorry, that's not covered. I was like, the fuck am I paying this plan for? Like, honestly, it feels like I like every time I called them, they were like, no, we'll take your money, but we won't give you money. Like, that's not how this transaction works.
That's rough, eh? That's rough. That's insurance companies how they do that, eh?
Yeah, I had to upgrade all my plans, bro, and now I've got like a fucking I don't even know what it's called, but it's like a health plus thing or some shit. I'm on like a good plan now, and I had to like add an extra piece on so that my like even my doctor's visits get covered. Because like I tried to go to the doctor the other day, and in where I live, Grafton, the doctor's office 110 for a visit. I was like,
110.
Yeah, I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
You're joking.
Yeah, no, I didn't go. I went to Westmere, $24. That's what I'm saying. That's like a fucking 12-minute drive. How do they justify these prices? Anyways.
That's crazy.
That's my rant.
Why? That's nuts.
Yeah, wild. What was the New Zealand number, Tree?
Yeah, what was that one?
4,000.
Okay, 4,000. I was
Fuck, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, damn, that is a big difference.
That's a huge difference. Yeah. Granted, they're a lot bigger population. They've got a lot more things going on. But I think from what we learned is that it's due to just genuine inefficiencies
in the healthcare system.
Yeah, because I might be wrong on this, but there will be doctors out there, pretty controversial saying, but I think there would be doctors out there that will diagnose someone, say you're a heart surgeon, for instance, not eyeing out any particular specialty, but off the top of my head, say you're a heart surgeon and you see a person, they might need a heart bypass or whatever, and that's, what do those things cost these days?
Like $50,000 or something, right?
Yeah,
sure.
and I think one of my dad's friends or something like that, their mother or something had heart surgery, and
right?
He asked the surgeon, what do you make out of these surgeries? What do you make per surgery? And they're like, I make about 11 grand or something. Oh, how many do you do a week? Oh, probably like 3 or 4. They're doing like that or something along those lines. Ridiculous amount of money. So there'll be doctors out there saying, look, this person could need a heart bypass surgery, but they could get away with doing this non-surgical, drink some nice tea and you'll be able to be fine. But they probably say, no, you need surgery, and they'll say it in a way to convince people.
Yeah, it's like the whole reason for the opioid crisis, basically. Right? It's like, he could be all right on Panadol, but
we're going to give him Oxy.
He could also be all right on Oxycontin. And Oxycontin's paying me.
Exactly.
So, it's a fucked up system, man. And I think that we are lucky in New Zealand that I think it's less of the case. Like even the doctor that we had on I'm going to say it's like probably a couple weeks ago now. No, I think it is actually going to be the episode before this. So episode before this, the doctor we had on was saying that literally like some of the tests, like the reason that even though she's got like her medical degree will be from Australia, right? So like pretty a pretty good country for like medicine, right? So it's like getting like a legit degree, right? But you couldn't practice in America because there's like different tiers of testing, and like basically Australia and New Zealand use in most cases the gold standard, like the best of the best. But there's like cases where they choose not the gold standard in America just because it's like so I'm not explaining this very well, but as like
you're making sense. Yeah.
As like a first reaction when someone has like something wrong with them, they go, oh, like our hospital procedure is to do this B tier test because it's cheaper, and that's because it's not like a funded system, right? Like it's a system where the person has to pay for it. So like there's like a lot of cases like that which I found interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely is.
Like those like differences between our systems outside of the obvious like issues with them being funded by private companies as well in some cases, but like, you know, like just on top of that, just imagine your overall healthcare being worse and having to pay more for it.
Oh, I don't understand. And like what you said, how you have to pay $65, or no, it's not 65, 100 and...
It was 110 to go to
and then $24 over there. Yeah, what's the difference in... What's the quality difference?
I don't know. I think literally they just like, and this is again, shout out like the government here, because there was like a special, they had like a special discount for students because, or not students, I'm also not a student, but for people under 25.
Oh, how good.
That is just government funded. Yeah, they said they had some extra money funding from the government
really
to subsidize like under 25 healthcare. I was like, fuck yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
They should do that with dentists.
Yeah, fucking oath, bro. Yeah, man. Yeah, well, you don't want to talk to me about teeth. I literally just had my wisdom teeth out.
Oh, so. How's that?
Yeah, it's painful as shit, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like, actually, the procedure is fine. Like the whole procedure, mad chilling, you know. But after the procedure for like 7 days, you have to be on soft foods, and I'm a celiac, so there's like. I can't have like pasta, you know, like I had to eat a shitload of mashed potato and I had way more custard than any man should.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was like living off that shit. And only recently, like the past couple of days, I've been able to start eating like other foods again, which has been really nice.
Oh, so you had it just recently?
Yeah, bro, like literally not last week, but the week before Wednesday.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
God, that's intense.
Yeah.
Did they put you right out, or
kind of? Like they give you like a. To be honest, the drugs they give you are pretty shit. So if you're like if you're gonna go that way, I would like play up your symptoms, because you don't really want to be stuck with Panadine after, which is like the painkiller they give you, which is like Panadol and codeine, which is like just weak shit. Really, you want like Tramadol as a bare minimum. Yeah. But anyways, that's besides the point. They give you like a benzo before.
Oh, okay.
Which is like, you know, not that amazing, and then you get like then there's some sort of injection that they don't like fully. They're not supposed to fully put you under, but like the way they explain it to me is like you'll be like conscious, but you won't remember any of it, and that's rang true for me, but not for Ant. Actually, interestingly, the Korea boo we had on.
It's called Korean boy.
Korea boo.
Oh, this is a Korea boo. Oh, it's a Korean boy. Korean boy. Korean boy.
We were just joking the other day that I bring him up and I find a way to slip him into every podcast.
Oh, good. Yeah, hey,
and I'm going to try and keep that cadence.
He's a good lad.
Yeah.
He's a good lad.
He's a good lad. We actually have something in the works with him coming up, so it might be a new series, guys.
Oh, there we go.
Interesting.
Chats with Ant.
It's going to be called, actually, no, I won't plug it yet. But,
Shanty's Town.
Just get excited.
Place.
Shanty's Place.
How good.
But no, he's a little angel. Anyways,
did you go, have you ever been fully under, as in like fully under the knife?
No, so this is my first ever like procedure.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, crazy. Wait until you, hopefully you don't have it, but wait until you get full general anaesthetic.
Yeah, no, I've never had that. I've had like other teeth things, but I guess that doesn't really count. To be honest, I don't really even consider this like a big thing. Like,
I can't really speak much to it. Apparently, other than the having soft foods, apparently that's...
Yeah, it's like you know, like the most... no offense, it's like the most non-surgery ever. You know? Like, like I felt like bad taking time off after. I was like, I know that I'm like supposed to take time off, but like I'm like a little sore, but I'm all good. You know?
Yeah. Could you still speak?
Yeah, fuck yeah, bro. I didn't even have any swelling.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like you're supposed to be like blowing up.
So that nice jawline of yours, mate.
Bro, literally, like that's what I was saying. Like that night, like so. There's like this picture. If you watch the vlog of me on that day, it's literally like I'm wearing like this full ice pack around my face.
Oh yeah.
And like one scene, and then the next scene, it's me going to sleep, and it looks like it's a scene from like an earlier day. But like no, I just like there was just no swelling. I woke up the next morning completely fine. I was like, damn, I'm just in a lot of pain. Like it's like all good, but like I'm a little bit sore. You know?
Oh, how good. Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. That's a positive outcome then.
Yeah, but I think I was lucky as well because like my teeth were in like a good position to come out. Like there wasn't like any real complications.
Oh, so they'd do the juicy stuff like remove all the gums? Or...
Yeah, like it wasn't on like an angle, which I think like a lot of people have, which then would be like, fuck that sounds.
I feel like that'd be me, If I that'd be me. I'll have my gums going, you know.
Yeah, but I'm pissed off as well, to be honest. Like I always thought that I was gonna be like have like a full set of teeth, you know.
Yeah.
And now I'm like feel incomplete, you know.
Well, we don't need those things because it was back in the days where we used to eat a ridiculous amount of meat or something, or be carnivores.
I still do that.
Didn't dinosaurs have that? They needed to have like more teeth to. I'm talking shit, you know. Karen, next topic.
Trey, you want to get a fact check on that?
I'm no doctor.
This is like, we were joking, like, because Alicia was like 7/8 of a doctor, and we had 2/3 of a doctor. So I guess you would be what, like one quarter of a doctor?
Not even that. Technically, so medical school, if you conclude pre-med and the med school, it's 7 years.
Yeah.
So technically, I'm 1/7. But then on top of that, they have to be a house doctor, a junior. There's multiple stages before you can even get to a GP. So I like to say I'm 1/12 of a doctor. 1/12 of a doctor. Not even that. That's probably shameful to say that, but
it is depressing.
I've dipped my toes in. Yeah, it's crazy. I respect them hugely.
So, just to circle all the way back to what you're up to at the moment. So, like, we got through the military, I think, and like in the reserves.
Yeah.
And then you didn't stop studying though. Like you did. When you dropped out of pre-med, you went into something else, right? You went
commerce.
Into commerce. Yeah. What were you studying in commerce?
I was doing Bachelor of Commerce. I ended up with.
Do you actually have a degree?
No? Yeah, got my ticket. So, I majored in innovation and entrepreneurship and international business, but that was by mistake.
How do you do that by mistake?
Because it was actually one of those things where I was lucky that I did that by mistake. Because double major is better than one major.
Yeah.
When you can have, why not have two? You know.
Yeah, 100%. I think Ant had that same idea, and he decided to double major in like mathematics. And he was
why have one when you can have two? So do
makes
it.
Sense.
But like no, because I was going to go innovation, entrepreneurship. Done. It seems like that's all I was interested in. Put it out of the way.
Yep.
But the thing about university is you have to take certain papers, even if you're not interested, just to get your points up. It's all about a number of points. You take points by doing specific courses. So I was doing, the main innovation papers.
Do you think that was that's a good thing about university, like to diversify, or do you think that it's kind of a waste of time?
I think it's good because it gives you a more rounded understanding on how things work. But in my personal opinion, the theory of business is quite different from what actual business is. So, and what I did like about innovation and entrepreneurship, there was a little bit of a blend there. Like we had to get in a group on one paper and actually work with a real business, small developing business, and help develop them. That was really cool. But then there's the other theory.
Can you talk about like what business you developed and stuff? I'm just curious about that.
It was I probably can't say their name, but
right.
They did little. Like baby products. They did baby products. So, and they're like starting, I'm starting it with another couple of people.
Shout out Dimples. No.
But that's didn't you work for Dimples?
No, Lenny, he's also been on the podcast. If you guys want to check out his episode, he's the ice baths episode, and also the very first one, Mike Check 1 2, but that's not on YouTube, so it's a secret episode.
Okay.
But he works with Dimples in like I can't remember what he did. Logistics. He does logistics.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But we worked with that, and we just got in groups, and we worked with their business, see what can we do to improve. Because sometimes it takes someone to step out of if you're an owner for a business, and I fell accustomed to this. I'll be the first to admit, was you get into this thing called the sunk cost fallacy.
Sure.
Which is where, you get into a business, you really love the idea of, you love the product, you love the business, and you just keep pushing money at it until you realise, beyond all rational thought, you're going to know it's going to work. And that was me to a point. when I was doing Blackshack. It's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to work.
Because you invest so much time in something. And
exactly, and you love it. And that's the number one thing I'd learned is you shouldn't love your business. You should be.
That seems like contradictory advice.
It's like you shouldn't absolutely love your product. You got to be a little bit harsh in business. You should got to. Like if you're investing money into a product that's failing, but you keep on going it until beyond all advice, then it's probably 9 times out of 10 a good time to not do that, especially in a saturated industry. I mean, you got the other examples, like some people would have thought, SpaceX was. The idea.
Exactly, like the whole concept of Tesla as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like, those are like the exceptions, but 9 times out of 10, people just put money into it. So it's sometimes really good to listen to people who are not in the business and step back and you listen to them.
Sort of impartial people. I get that as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
it is really hard to know when to pull that plug though, and like I think that hard. As an entrepreneur as well, like. I find myself, the part of my motivation in going in the entrepreneurial direction also probably, I guess, is creative. And I think that, like, for me personally, I don't see it solely as like a money-making vehicle. It's like there's like multiple reasons why I want to pursue it. You know what I mean? And I guess that's something you should consider as well. So like, if you do love it and you're pouring a bunch of money into it, maybe ask yourself the 2 questions, like, is this like what you want? Because if it is still what you want, then I would say still go for it.
Absolutely. No, you're bang on there. If what you want out of it is to get a good experience about business, develop new skills, meet new people, sure, go for it. But if your sole goal of business is to make money, make millions of dollars, put your money in the good basket,
And don't be afraid to like iterate and pivot as well. Because like exactly. I think like with like an argument could be made that Blackshack could have pivoted in other directions as well. Because there's like a lot of different. You say like that the drinks market is saturated, and I tend to agree with you on that, especially the soft drinks market. Yeah. But there's like a bunch of new markets opening up every day in like the health sector primarily, even though that's kind of becoming the same thing, right? Yeah. But like, there is always new ways that you can do the same thing. Like, absolutely. And you even see that, I don't really want to promote this that much, but like Logan Paul's Prime, like there is definitely space for new drinks on the market. It's just about like what you're doing differently and what type of drink you're hitting, right? Like, 'cause
absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, All this to say that I do think that you made the right decision for you. I think that that's the most important thing. But it's not always cut and dry. Actually, I'm sure you know that as like someone that had to make that decision, right? Like,
it was hard, and I think there was a bit of me that I lost by doing that because I really enjoyed that. But that's not to say that I won't start a business up again, because I could develop all these skills. I'm lucky enough to be in a company which they're really training me, and now I feel I can go back in. I've learnt these things, got a new skill set, develop the ones that I've was developing.
Sure.
So I feel like, I can definitely go back into that. And, there'll be a lot of people out there who start a business and they fail. Most businesses fail in the first 2 years.
Yeah, I've heard that stuff. That's terrifying.
And, just
because you... baby.
Yeah. But, just because you fail, and it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Because if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough, I don't think.
Yeah, 100%, man. You gotta try something first before you can decide it's a failure. Like there's like this whole... people afraid of failing when they haven't done anything.
Absolutely.
you have to take that first step. So
absolutely.
That's important.
I think my whole point is, you can keep failing, but fail to a point. I think the smart thing to do is, when you start off in the business, say, I'm calling it there. Like you gotta have a line where you go, okay, I'm calling it. I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna love it. But if I reach this point, I'm done. It's done. It's over. And I think to do that, you really need to talk to other people who have done the same thing before. You need to talk to people, not involved in your business at all. Have a mentor, whatever.
Yeah.
Make sure you make the wise decision, because you can.
What's your advice for finding a mentor? Because I think that's something that a lot of people don't have when they start their entrepreneurial journeys. And like, I think there is a lot of gurus on the internet that, you know, if you pick the wrong one, you could be misled in quite a lot of directions. So
absolutely.
I think, you know, finding someone that is at your level, or not at your level, but just a few levels above and enough to give you legitimate advice is not an easy thing to do.
Absolutely. What I would say about when it comes to getting advice from people, I try to give advice, but I only give advice unless I feel like I earned to give that advice. Right. Advice is free. Anyone can give you advice,
sure.
And I think that you can get advice from anyone, and people speak well. So the advice that they're giving might sound good, and they might put it in a way that's convincing, but I think it's not, just because it sounds good doesn't mean it is good advice. So the one thing I'd look at when it comes to getting a mentor is credibility.
Yeah,
there's people out there, and like there's, you know, some people, particular individuals. You and I know no one.
We can shout them out.
No, it's not. But but I think you can speak very well. You can.
I think maybe you could just say that. Don't take someone giving business advice that doesn't have a business. That hasn't started a business.
Hasn't started a business or has no experience in business. They can speak well. You can speak the theory of things, but unless they've actually done it, you don't. Look for credibility.
Don't start a coaching business if you haven't done another business.
Exactly.
You know, just for anyone out there that's looking for it's all of these like fucking like, I think it's the internet wave of like the, you know, SM, like social media marketing agency. You know, there's like all of this shit. People trying to sell courses. Like, don't sell a course until you've fucking sold something else first. You know?
Have some experience.
Yeah,
at least
exactly.
run a successful business before you start teaching people how to run a business.
Exactly. And then like the craziest thing now that's coming up, bro, is that there's these like accounts that are selling people how to start accounts.
You never started an account before.
It's a fucking like circular loop. I just don't understand how there's any money in that market at all. But I mean, to be fair, it is all getting recommended to me. So, you know, it's like, I guess I'm like, whether I'm watching because I'm pissed off or not is like the next point. But anyway.
It's dangerous stuff though. It's genuinely dangerous, and it can, I think it preys on the, those people, like some people can be, they're actually genuinely quite smart people. Those people who know they've got no credibility, but they've got a talent in terms of speaking, and
everyone wants an easy win as well.
Everyone wants an easy win, and
you can't blame people for that.
Exactly, you're bang on, and I think they prey on those people that are gullible, and those are the people at risk. So sometimes you gotta, I think back to the point is, my biggest advice when it comes to getting a mentor, research them. Make sure you get their credibility.
Do the research.
Or like get yourself a CEO, get yourself a high-ranking manager. Get you someone who's started off a whole bunch of businesses and failed. They are much more credible when it comes to business than someone who's never done it before.
It's almost as valuable to know what not to do as what to do.
Absolutely.
Well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I completely agree with that. And I think on that note, maybe it's a good chance for us to take a quick break.
Yep.
Have a walk around, and we'll see you back soon. Beautiful. And we're back. So I think there's just like we got another hour, which is amazing. I think we're really starting to get our flow on this, and like I feel like we're starting to hit more of just one segment for an hour rather than splitting it out more. So like beforehand we were trying to hit like 40 minutes and then do another 40 minutes, which was nice, but like I think that this flow thing is good, man.
Flow,
flow's
I love a bit of flow.
We have one good question left to end off the segment, and I think that it's really fitting. Because one, where you work now, and I know that you can't talk about your company, and that's fine, but we know that you work in food and beverages, specifically beverages.
Yep.
And, so take from that what you will.
Yeah.
And I always recalled from school that you were that one guy that was like, I'm not gonna drink until I'm successful, and it was always something that I was like half like admiring of you, and I think also some part of me was like, man, fuck this guy. You know, that kind of self-control, like that's something I will never have. And but yeah, now to come full circle and to see you having a drink with us on the show, of all things, I just want to ask, like, how your journey with that. I think like not really just for the sake of talking shit, you know, like mocking you or whatever for it. I think like it's more interesting to hear how you've matured that thought process and like how perhaps your views on alcohol have changed since your younger days. I think is probably where I want to touch.
Great question. Where do I get started with that one?
Why did you not drink in the first place?
I just thought it'd be a motivating factor to not drink until you're a millionaire, and I thought, you know, if I really wanted to drink, if I had that real internal want to drink, which I didn't, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
You know, I'd become a millionaire quicker. You know, that's just fantastic logic, isn't it? There we go.
All positives there.
Nothing else can motivate me. It's the fact that I can't drink. No. So that's essentially the logic behind that. That's why I didn't do it. And I also didn't want to conform. This is probably the real reason. But I really hated going to parties and seeing people just make a total fool of themselves. Like, just, you were fine, mate. You were fine.
Yeah,
but
and at later parties I was, but it definitely started not so pretty.
Oh, but, you know, you see the people and just, like, vomiting everywhere and disgracing them. You never, in my eyes, disgraced yourself. I've seen people who I not from what I've seen at least.
Mate,
I've had a few good parties.
I'll tell you some stories. I don't know if I'm ready for these to be on the internet yet, but I'll tell you some stories off
right.
camera.
Yeah, okay. We'll talk about that.
Anyways.
But yeah, like that's, like I just didn't want to be one of those guys. And that's essentially why I didn't do it.
Which is fair. Well, what I was going to say is, like, I mean, that second reason makes a lot of sense. But for that first reason, I was like, I think you probably need to know what being drunk's like to then for it to be a motivating factor to not drink. You know,
I was scared shitless because I thought being drunk was just some sort of state of complete uncontrol, which for some people it totally is. But then you don't know until you try. I think it's probably the best way of putting it.
I don't know if I believe like what I believe about alcohol, but all I know is from my own personal experience, and that's like I think a lot of people use it as an excuse to be a shitty person, and it's not necessarily like you can't blame something for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely an inhibitor, but like if you're a shitty person underneath, you can't really be like it's the booze, you know. Like,
it's the booze, exactly.
You know, like
you're just a little shitty person.
Yeah, have some ownership, like
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like I've never once been drunk. I've done stuff that I regret, but I've never once been like untrue to my core self. And you know, like
I agree.
You know, I
agree.
And I'll stand by that statement. So, maybe like, you'll be clipping this later down the line when I do share some stories. But hey, we all are who we are. Okay, we are who we are.
Who we are. Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyways, you had that viewpoint, which I think is like super mature for your age. But you know, as I said, I think like also pushing against the norm has its motivations as well. Like I think like, especially for someone that was trying to do something that you're already, I would say, uncommon for that age group, right? Like
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, you had your business, you were really focused on studying, and like on top of that, abstaining from the cultural norm of what was defined as fun, I would say. Especially in New Zealand and like it's like big drinking culture here. So what sort of changed your mind?
Well, I think of various number of factors. I'm just trying to think where do I start. There's just so many. I mean, I don't know. I tell you what, the good thing about not drinking was I learnt to, like, I was always a sober guy at the parties,
right?
But you learnt to have fun while being sober. I learnt to go out there and be able to confidently go up to people and chat to people while being sober, while everyone else was intoxicated. Yeah. So I learnt to try and get on that vibe. I might have looked weird now to saying that, but that's I think the good thing that I took out of that.
I think it was probably more the follow-up question of like, hey, how you doing? You want to buy some Blackshack?
So it's about some Blackshack?
Yeah. You know what you would love to drink more than one. But what stopped me, I think knowledge of what actually alcohol is and actually does and how you can actually control it. Mm-hmm. Again, I started playing rugby in a team where it's just a drink, like a a social thing.
It's a social thing, and drinking is not the main thing there, but like
it's the camaraderie that the same thing. And also in the military, it's the same thing.
I'm not too sure because I'm not really in it with the military, but I know like you can't beat playing 80 minutes of rugby and you're exhausted and you come back in and you have a nice cold beer. Honestly, there's fewer joys, and you're with your mates and you're just sitting there, you're having a beer and you're singing your song, and you can't beat winner's piss. So
I feel that
probably for me was the turning point, I think. And
do you remember your first drink?
I remember my first drink was with my dad. It was a Spates, and I was bloody.
What was the occasion?
Just to say that I had
with him.
Yeah, with him. My first beer was with him. I enjoyed it.
That's interesting because I think a lot of people don't enjoy their first, and maybe that's probably because they're drinking it at fucking when their taste buds aren't mature enough.
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
exactly. And I think I had my first drink at 18. I tried it, but then I just didn't drink after that.
Sure.
And then it wasn't until probably 19, 20 when I joined this new rugby team for club, and I was the youngest guy on the team, and everyone else around me was mid to late 20s, and they were drinking. I was never pushed at any point. That was the great thing. I was there. They
cool.
Fully respected it. That was fine. But then I just saw it one day, had it a go. Don't know what led me to do that. I just thought, it's a good thing to get a part of the team.
I suppose it's an interesting contrast from what you were used to seeing, which is like a bunch of high school people vomiting on themselves.
Absolutely.
And then you see like an older crowd that actually have been drinking for a while, and they don't like take it too far. You know what
Absolutely. I mean? Exactly right. You've summed it up very well there. It's down to knowledge at the end of the day. Because all I was exposed to when it came to drinking is just people just, I suppose, abusing it. Would you think as young people?
I think that they just don't know their.
Don't know their limit.
Yeah,
don't know their limit.
I would say like they weren't probably like. I don't think any young person's goal, other than maybe mine, was to like drink as much as possible. You know what I mean? Like I think like most people were just trying to have a good time. They just didn't know where that good time turned into like that's actually not a good time.
Exactly.
And like that's just a learning curve. And I think that, to be honest, a lot of people do have that, and you're probably lucky to have started drinking later in life because you kind of almost, I guess, you learned those lessons secondhand, I suppose, right?
Exactly, you do. And I'm quite happy that I did that. I don't regret doing it, to be honest.
Yeah, fair. No,
and there was, I'll be fully own up to it. Like I was naive when it came to alcohol, but that was a benefit. It was also might have been a detriment. I probably couldn't connect or speak to people as much as I hoped to, as well as I probably could if I had a beer in my hand. Like that's the sad truth sometimes.
I don't know if I think that is an interesting point that you make, and I think that whilst alcohol is an inhibitor and can like make social interactions better.
Yeah.
I think that if you're I think that you probably learnt it in a better way. Like rather than people using it as a crutch.
Yeah.
You sort of learnt how to deal with people raw first, which I think is really important, and then learning that you can actually add a little bit, and you're just enhancing yourself.
Absolutely,
right?
And that's what it should be for.
100%. Yeah, I agree.
That's exactly what it. And I think there was situations where everyone would be on a vibe, and sometimes I find it hard to get, because it's like being sober at parties. Sometimes it's like really hard to get on the same level.
I do, especially like from someone that because I took 2 years off drinking.
Yeah.
And I like did the whole sobriety thing, and I fucking hated it. And I think that the difference is that you did sobriety without the knowledge of drinking, whereas I did sobriety and I loved drinking. I loved that shit before. So I think like that's the big difference. And I guess I realized probably the same, like what I was talking about, like that it did become a bit of a crutch for me. Like it became my personality to an extent.
Yeah.
And that is where it sort of becomes an issue. But I also did find that now, when I am drinking again now, obviously, like, I mean, I'm not drinking every day like I used to, but I'm drinking on like the weekends or with my friends and stuff. And I think that it is an enhancer because like I already know that I have that ability to talk. Like we could have this conversation sober for sure.
Totally.
But like,
and have done before.
And have done before. Yeah, 100%. It's just like, I want to enjoy myself, and this is just part of me like relaxing now. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And like for me, it took that knowledge to go, actually, you can have a drink and you can talk to people, and you're not going to end up, because I was I'll be honest, I was scared I was going to end up completely losing control and no idea what I was doing, and it's just being stupid.
I think that's something that needs to be debunked, though, right?
Yeah, it needs to be totally debunked.
Isn't the fucking case in most situations. Maybe there is some outlier, obviously, that we're generalizing here, but I would say that most people that are crazy when they're drunk or whatever are just fucking putting it on, you know what
exactly.
I mean?
Totally are, and that fooled me. That fooled me, and I didn't want to be that. And now I realise it's just a great thing to have, and sharing a drink with a mate or having a chat has just enhanced the experience. Like in rugby, having a beer, having winner's piss at the end of a hard game. It's a nice addition to an already great occasion. And I think that's what alcohol should be used for. I'm still quite hard on the fact that you shouldn't really like some people there are, I think, abusers out there of alcohol, and it can change them. They use like you said, they use it as an excuse to be a different person. I think as well, though, I don't know, this kind of contradicts what I said. There is also levels to people drinking. I think that if you're I have 8 drinks with my friends, then all of a sudden you become an asshole, then you're just an asshole. But there's another level where if you're I'm gonna have some people that I know, I'm gonna have 30 drinks, then I think you're less accountable for what you're doing. Exactly.
You genuinely don't know what you're doing, and there is a fine distinction. So if you have an alcohol problem, then I would say that it's in a different category to
Definitely.
What we're talking about now,
Absolutely.
which is the high school, all of a sudden you become a douche and you've had 2 cruises.
Exactly. Yeah.
There is different levels still, for sure.
I didn't want to become a douche.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that it is interesting that you've come full circle on that, man. And I'm honored to be having a drink with you, and for it to be in the right context.
Cheers, mate.
Because
this is non-alcoholic. Just
it isn't. Yeah, he's got to pick up the missus now.
Yeah.
Despite our kind Uber offers, although we wouldn't have been sponsoring your Uber to Kumu.
And back.
So related costs. Maybe we need to change that in the small print.
Yeah, put a little asterisk underneath.
Yeah, fucking A.
But my views of alcohol's changed. I think it's a positive thing. I think it can be used in a really great way, so long as it's done correctly and safe. You can have a lot of fun. You can get drunk, and that's fine. I think what we're saying at the end is just don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
And I also think it may be interesting to talk about, because I don't know if how much you want to talk about this, and obviously we can take anything out you don't want to talk about. But I was just thinking what flows on from alcohol is the sort of drugs conversation, and how your thoughts on that. And I know that they were always very strong in high school, and I feel like maybe they've probably continued to that strength. But I know that recently, one of your partners was, like me, probably had done some more experimentation with that type of stuff, and I just wanted to get your perspective on that.
Yeah. Well, I still believe that drugs can be a really bad thing.
And what drugs are you talking about? Because I think drugs is a very big umbrella term.
Well, it is exactly correct. So I think there's let's start off with weed, for instance. Weed has a lot of its benefits. There's evidence out there that it can have its negative effects.
Detriments, for sure.
Yeah, it has detriments, but I think as far as we go, look, to be honest, I'm not interested in it. I don't think it's really my vibe. I don't judge anyone who does that kind of. I think that's their choice. That's totally fine, but it's just not for me. But as far as I know, weed and all that natural stuff, I think that's okay. Yeah. It's just once you're getting into the higher level, Class A drugs, where I think you're really dabbling in stuff that could harm you. Yeah, they can seriously. Oh, yeah, sure, they give you a good high, but they're laced with something.
And I would argue that, I think that the biggest risk to some of them, and I think also there's the Class A drugs really encompass a lot of things that they shouldn't. There's a lot of drugs that have been criminalized for reasons that aren't as pure as it may seem on the outside. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And apologies if you can hear the rain now. It just sounds like
nice, eh?
Yeah, it's nice when you're trying to sleep. Maybe not so nice when you're trying to do a podcast.
Skylight up there. That's so good. Does it get much sun through there?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe this might be God's way of telling me that I shouldn't be having this conversation on the internet. Possibly, it's possibly God's way of telling me I shouldn't be having this conversation on the internet. But I think that maybe we'll just like do a quick wrap up of the segment then. In that case, just weather dependent. But yeah, I think that like all drugs should not be classed in the same category, and I think that the class system we have right now is flawed. I think that as a government that decriminalizing drugs and taking more of a support mental health approach is the way forward, and we've seen that work in some of the European countries. So I think that if we modeled something like that, we could see a lot more success, and also we would stop creating bigger problems downstream in like prison systems and stuff. And also beyond that, I don't think, and maybe this is more of a personal view, but I don't think the government should have any say in stuff that doesn't actually affect other people. So if you want to do something that harms yourself, I think that should be your right, but maybe that's just me. You know what I mean?
I fully see your point. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, that maybe is a controversial topic, and I do see like there is some validity to the concept of if you're doing a drug and then that is harming other people. So like, you know, we're talking like our big ones like meth and stuff like that, where you're more inclined to certain behaviors, like, you know, robbing people or violence or whatever. Like, I think that there is a case where that shouldn't be, it should be more carefully monitored. But again, I think that the approach is wrong, and it's just creating a bigger problem. And maybe not so much in countries. I feel like there's like different drug problems in different countries based on availability, and I think meth is a big one for New Zealand, but I can see how the opioid problem is a bigger thing in America, obviously, and I think it's just harder to get here, and that's probably the biggest reason for that. But yeah, I don't know if that even wraps up what my original point was. I think that's just me getting my drug views across before saying my all-encompassing, like, you know, I'm interested in your thoughts on it from someone that has been close to it, but they never wanted to be close to it. And also, like, you had your viewpoints on weed, which I think everyone can agree is just like, it's like the same as alcohol. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you know, I don't see there any more. In fact, I would say alcohol causes more harm in society than marijuana ever has. Not to say that I'm a like avid weed smoker or even like would even consider it a good thing. Like, I did prefer to drink. Like, that's my thing. But I just think that it shouldn't be treated in the way that it is at the moment currently.
Yeah, and that's my point of view. For me, it's not for me, but I'll choose alcohol over that. Yeah. And yeah, like that's just my whole thing with drugs is very similar. It's just, you know, if you can do it in a way and you're not harming people and there's no detriment to anyone, then, you know, I'm not condoning it, but it shouldn't be. I don't think it should be criminalized to a point where you're doing some serious time for that.
What about beyond that? Do you think that like it's hard for you if it's someone that you're like see a lot, like a significant other, for example? Like, does that, like, what kind of complications does that create?
It does, because when it comes to those things, you when they're super close to you and they're doing these substances that, and I'm not talking weed, I'm talking the heavier stuff.
Do you like MDMA?
Heavier.
Heavier than MDMA?
Yeah, heavier than MDMA.
So, like, we're talking like meth?
Oh, I wouldn't say quite that stage, but, you know, quite...
Nitrous oxide? Oh, I don't know. Like psychedelics?
Cocaine.
All right, cocaine. Sorry, I jumped straight into meth. There is a middle ground of what, like,
meth and heroin, that's more...
Yeah.
I think that's
okay. Yeah, I think stepping. Yeah, I think MDMA's got a special place, but I think that cocaine is probably something that's a little bit more abusable. I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I'd say gotta think about how I'm gonna put this.
No, fair enough.
From my point of view, like, if you're with someone who's very close and they're using those substances,
and how regularly are we saying they're using them? Like,
it's
like a party thing, or
like a party thing, a party thing. I think if you really care about them, you're worried for the fact that something might happen to them, which that could seriously hurt them. That was my point of view.
So you're worried about like bad drugs, or you worried about like her like doing something while she's or like being involved in something that a situation she wouldn't have been in perhaps without them.
It's that, and also the bad drugs as well, like the ones laced with stuff, which is, I mean, like,
test your shit. That's like important. Test your shit,
and like, it is kind of hypocritical for me saying going to the military, and of course in the military there's, you're going to you're going to go into war, essentially, which is putting yourself in harm's way.
For sure.
But I think that's for a greater cause.
Probably different motivations.
It's a very different motivation than from taking a substance, and that, especially lately, like I heard they had fentanyl laced with cocaine.
Sure.
That's been coming into the country, and I think that can have serious health benefits. And just as a partner,
health benefits.
Health
detriments.
Health detriments. Cut that one.
I mean, I agree, but
but like, I think that could, like, you just worry that what if they take a substance that, a bit of that substance that's laced with fentanyl, it can kill them or put them in a situation where they're bad and like they're in a bad state. So I mean,
there's a lot of things that can go wrong,
especially if you love them,
Yeah, so, and I think like to take your military analogy as well, like I think that drugs is a much more selfish thing.
It is.
Because like it's about your enjoyment of a situation rather than the military, where it's more about protecting, I would say.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's clean, and like you look at other things like cocaine, like, where has that come from? How many hands has it come through, or how much slavery's gone into producing that? And,
downstream, it's not pretty, but again, that case could be made for pretty much anything that we own.
Exactly, that's a good point. Like, you look at
like the iPhone.
Exactly.
Like so, any technology. I actually read somewhere, I don't know if I've talked about this already, but like the cobalt mines. Basically there's like I was watching this video, and it's terrifying. There's like all of these companies, right? Like, so for those that don't know, cobalt is the main mineral. I just don't know if you call it a mineral. The main element.
It's a metal, isn't it?
Yeah, the main metal that is in electric batteries. So like all new rechargeable batteries have cobalt in them, and the biggest user of that is electric cars, right?
Yep.
So there's like all of these cobalt mines in the, I want to say, I can't remember whereabouts in the Congo. I want to say the East Congo, but maybe we get a fact check on that just so that we can put it up. But yeah, so if I'm wrong, there'll be a disclaimer. But yeah, so in the East Congo, there's like all of these cobalt mines that are claimed to be entirely machine operated, right? But there's this journalist that went to said mines to have a look at the working conditions, and in fact it ends up being a massive pit in the ground with like closer than we are now, people to people with hammers, just like thousands of people in this pit. It's like all not even necessarily slavery, but just like extreme people in extreme poverty doing the work, right? And like that's crazy that those same companies are downstream suppliers for all of the big tech companies. You know what I mean? Like we're talking like Tesla, Apple, Microsoft. No one's in the clear here. Like they're all fucking using those products at the downstream, and it looks clean by the time it gets to them because there's so many middlemen in between, right?
Absolutely.
But it's just terrifying. So maybe we'll put a link in the description, and obviously there'll be a fact check here for the locations and stuff that I'm talking about. But yeah, it just really opened my eyes when I saw this image of all the slavery downstream, and I had this realization that like what we're told is not necessarily the truth. You can't take anything at face value anymore, and it's terrifying. It's terrifying when you can't trust like the news outlet. You can't trust fucking. I don't know, I feel like I've put on my tin hat here, getting a little too conspiracy-esque, but you know what I mean? Like you really do have to like make your own mind up about stuff and do your own research, and that's what I would encourage. Yeah,
absolutely. My thing with those hard drugs like cocaine, I think. Would you say that the relative how relative are they to each other? So say you got your cobalt mine, and you're doing the batteries for the Teslas, for instance.
Sure.
And you've got your cocaine production. What's the relative, what's the relative detriment on society between them? Would you say it's about even? Because I think my point is, I think what they do in terms of making cocaine is significantly worse, in my opinion. This is coming from a little fact, but than making a car battery. What do you think about that?
Well, I guess like the most clear argument there is that all parts of the cocaine production, all the way through to the consumption from the end user, are arguably bad.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my point.
So like it's definitely like, if you look at it like that, worse. But I think that where it becomes more scary is that obviously, like, you know, we're talking drugs are a big business. No one's questioning that. Yeah. But all of the electronics in the world is a shitload bigger. Oh, you know, like, yes, it's like, I would say cocaine is a more of a net negative to the society than electric batteries, because, you know, there is obviously like positive impacts on the environment, and definitely. You know, there is like a case to be made there. But I think that, I don't know, I think that it's more just a representation of the fact that we need to be more careful about our downstream everything. Just to wrap this whole thing up, I think that you have a service to your end user to ensure a clean supply chain, and I think that if you're making your own products, like you are with Blackshack, and like people do, and they sew stuff handmade, or like they even coming to like made in New Zealand products and stuff, or made in the country of like your of where you live. I think it's easy to control that sort of stuff. So absolutely, I think that's something that people should strive for, really, or if at the very least they should be checking their supply chain.
Definitely.
I don't know if that's like a pretty big ramble away from our original point, but
it was good. It was good.
Yeah. But I'm being told now that we have got another 28 minutes since we last talked. So maybe it is a good point for us to wrap this up. And on a weirdly educational note, I don't know actually how much of it was true.
I was speaking purely out of my ass. I have no fact.
Yeah, I talk on my ass all the time, bro. It just sounds good, you know. But no, like that is stuff that I've watched. So I mean, like whether the sources are wrong is you know, I'm gonna blame whatever YouTube video I checked out. But, but you know, there you go. I speak about it like I'm a newsman. I'm as accurate as Fox News. I'm as accurate as One News. It's probably better. Yeah. There we go. All right. You have anything you want to plug before we wrap things up?
No, not really.
Blackshack not coming back anytime soon, but if it does, we'll chuck a link back up.
Enjoyed being here. Enjoyed the chat.
Thanks, man. I fucking enjoyed it. Hey, it's been a pleasure, dog. It has been a pleasure.
Really appreciate it.
I obviously got to plug my shit as well. I'd be remiss if we didn't shout out our main sponsor, S.AD Collection, still in operation as of today. So that's sadcollection.com. If you want to buy some shit, or if you want to check us out on socials, that's s.ad.collections on all platforms. Also, if you want to check out the clips for this video, it's s.ad.ventures on all platforms, other than YouTube, because now we're trying to rebrand to S.AD Studios, so you might see that a little bit more out there. So it's just sad.studios. Anything else that I want to touch on? Oh yes, TikTok also. We got s.ad.ventures for my vlog. If you want to check that out, watch me run and do boring shit. It's called A Dull Life. I don't know why anyone would want to check it out, but you know, if you want to see what I'm doing every day, that is where you can see that stuff. And yeah, just heaps more shit coming. And thank you for watching, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
See you in the next one.
See ya.